Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to answer a question that I've been asked a few times since I started putting out these PTR videos for patch 107. My question is how have I built up my Barbarian? And it kind of dawned on me that I really haven't put that out there. I haven't made a video on it for quite some time. The last time I explored my Barbarian in the channel's capacity here was, I believe, back when I was still using Sword and Board. And since then, I've switched to a two-handed weapon in the form of Vigilance. Fantastic weapon that's really helping this build. So let me go over what my build is about and kind of tell you how it works. So to start off, let's work with the primary focus of this build. This is going to be based around using Berserker Rage effectively. So Berserker Rage allows you to gain 25% damage while you're at maximum fury. So this build is designed around generating fury and keeping it high. To do that, I start off with Bash for my primary ability. Bash, out of all the primaries, generates the most fury at 8 fury per attack. The rune I chose for Bash is Onslaught. Not for any particular reason other than the fact that it does quite a bit of damage with the 2 reverberations that can deal 25% extra weapon damage, even though it removes the knockback. Removing the knockback is fine, as it allows the enemy to stay within melee range so that I can continue to generate fury. Any of the other runes for Bash probably would work for this build just as well. Pulverize would increase my range. Instigation would allow me to keep the fury high, but I really haven't needed the extra fury there. And Punish would be useful in order to gain more damage for my other abilities. To facilitate survivability on this build, I've chosen Rend as my secondary ability. Rend does quite a bit of damage, 700% weapon damage over 5 seconds. And I've chosen Bloodlust to give me 9% of the damage done by Rend as life. Now, normally, percent damage done from certain skills does not really give a lot of life, but Rend does so much damage, and 9% is a fairly high amount, that you will notice that it keeps my health bar up quite a bit, especially when I use it in large groups of enemies. I'm also increasing the damage of Rend by using Battle Rage. I've combined Battle Rage with Marauder's Rage to increase the damage by 30%. The combined benefits of Battle Rage and Berserker Rage keeps my damage high. It allows Rend to do quite a bit and to heal me even further. Now, this build is actually built on quite a bit of mobility, as it's something I really like. I like to be highly mobile to be able to get out of tough situations or to be able to get into combat in a hurry. To do this, I've taken Leap, and I've taken Iron Impact as my rune of choice. Iron Impact, as you may know, got the recent change of giving 100% additional armor for every enemy hit rather than a flat 300%. This is a massive boon, as one thing I love to do is to jump into large groups of enemies. Using Leap with Iron Impact has given me insanely high amounts of armor, usually meaning that I will take negligible damage from any enemy around me. This also gives me a chance to put down my Rend and gain additional healing. If I'm in a tight spot and I'm running low on health, an actual viable strategy is to jump into combat rather than trying to get away and using Rend during that 3 seconds of very precious nigh invulnerability. Keeping up with the theme of mobility, the other rune I've chosen is Furious Charge with Merciless Assault. Furious Charge allows me to do 195% weapon damage to any enemies along my path in a straight line. Merciless Assault allows me to reduce the cooldown of it, which is 10 seconds, down by 2 seconds for every enemy hit. That means all I have to do is hit 5 enemies, and Merciless Assault has recharged my Furious Charge ability. This allows me to run back and forth across large groups of enemies. With the 195% weapon damage, this can add up to quite a bit of damage. This is my primary damage dealer for large groups, and it allows me to keep on my toes and constantly moving. The best thing about Furious Charge is that it has a few frames of invulnerability at the start of the animation. If I'm near anything like a frozen orb or an enemy's about to hit me with a big hit, I can actually use Furious Charge to get through that and not be touched. The last rune on my bar is of course Warcry, with Impunity. Warcry is kind of a carryover from the days when it was a little harder to survive in Inferno and you needed a lot more resist all. I just really haven't found anything to replace it with, and I already use all my other abilities quite a bit, so I kind of use it as a way to get Fury back. Impunity is, again, a carryover. I could be using the rune that gives me additional armor, and I think that would actually be more beneficial to me personally, but as I tend to run with characters that have high resistance, it's usually better for them, especially any monks I'm with, to have Impunity rather than to have Hardened Wrath for the increased armor. The other passives I have for this build are Tough as Nails and Ruthless. Ruthless giving me some of the best DPS increase, and Tough as Nails giving me the highest armor increase for my current gear. Speaking of gear, you may be wondering exactly what I look for in gear. Well, the truth is, my gear choices are very basic. I focus on strength and resist all. Everything else is bonus. Critical Strike and Critical Damage are both very nice, and they work well with Furious Charge. But they don't work well with Rend. Improved attack speed is also useless to Rend. My build is basically based around doing a lot of damage in a group by jumping in, putting down Rend, and Furious Charging all over the place. This keeps my Fury high, keeps Rend's damage high, and I'm able to just keep my survivability up that way. This means that strength is the most important thing that I can get. It improves all of my abilities, especially Rend. The next best thing I can do is get myself a high damage weapon. Not necessarily a fast one, but a good solid two-hander, as long as it has raw damage on it, is what I need for Rend. As far as I'm aware, Rend does not crit, so I don't really worry about that, but crit is still a useful stat since I still tend to use bash quite a bit, especially against single targets, as my Furious Charge becomes fairly useless there other than as a means of escape. I typically will ignore any gear with improved attack speed on it. While improved attack speed is nice, and it would increase the damage of my bash, it doesn't do anything for my Rend skill, and it also does not affect Furious Charge in any way. As I mentioned before, I have a nice benefit of having the polearm Vigilance, and the reason why this is quite nice is that it has a chance to cast Inner Sanctuary anytime I'm hit. So not only can I get into the thick of battle and hit pretty hard and put down a bunch of bleeds, I can also knock the enemy away with Vigilance, and Vigilance gives me a chance to get away should I run into any problems. I obviously do not depend on Inner Sanctuary proccing from Vigilance, but it is a nice additional escape mechanism combined with Leap and Furious Charge. All in all, a fairly simple build, and one that kind of fits my own unique playstyle. One of the beautiful things about this build seems to be is I really don't have to depend a lot on life on hit, due to the fact that I'm getting a lot of health back from Rend by itself, due to the amount of damage it's doing. That was the one thing I really didn't like about other builds that I was trying with my Barbarian. They all seem to really focus around needing a very high level of life on hit. I've gone to this build, I rather enjoy the fact that it can heal itself as well as move around very quickly on the battlefield. If these are things that you're looking for, feel free to give it a try and let me know what you think. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been KageKaze, and this is a look at my Barbarian, Grayson, as he punishes enemies with his massive polearm. I'll see you next time.